Welcome into DRF Daily, DRF Sportsbook's betting live stream coming at you each and every day that there is football. Folks, we had a 2-2 Thursday night, a good way to start our football week as we head into one game tonight that we're previewing, but two overall college football games tonight. And we're breaking down three ranked matchups that are occurring in college football. It's going to be a fantastic weekend. And as always, if you're not already, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everything like that. You can see what our handle is right below me at DRF Sportsbook. But we won't take too much time beating around the bush. Let's jump right on into today's slate. We're getting it out of the way first. Some college football, Friday night football in the American/Independent as ECU travels to BYU to take on the Cougars. BYU is -3. The total is set at 63, and over 53% of the public riding BYU at -3 in this one. And I think that's because folks just aren't paying attention to what Mike Houston has built in ECU in Greenville, one of the two, in North Carolina, with Holton Ahlers as his quarterback. I mean, BYU is 51st in EPA, 25th in offense, but terrible in defense, 96th in expected points added in defense so far this season. ECU's right there with them. They're 56th overall in EPA, 51st in offense, 71st in defense, so more of a average kind of between the two rather than BYU, who has this really good offense and then this really bad defense. ECU comes into this one off of a home game, and they're 9-1 against the spread coming off of a home game dating back to the start of last season. And BYU is coming off of a tough loss, and they're 0-6 against the spread after a loss over the last 3 seasons. I think ECU has what it takes to travel, maybe not pull out the win, but keep this one close and pull out the dub. BYU has had a very difficult schedule this year, so I believe they were trying to position themselves to make a college football playoff bid if they were able to win out or maybe just lose one. But now BYU sitting at, I think, 4-4 on the season, not a good spot to be in. But ECU and BYU, this is going to be a really solid Friday night football game, so tune into that. I believe it's on ESPN too. But I'm going ECU +3. I trust Mike Houston. I trust Holton Ahlers, and I think they're going to get it done over there against the Cougars. Moving into Saturday's awesome slate of football action. Ohio State gets things started against Penn State tomorrow at noon. This is a major spread. Penn State +14.5 at home. Our power line likes Ohio State at around -14, so this spread kind of right on par with what you'd expect. Penn State, they're ranked 13th in the nation, but expected points added according to College Football Graphs. If you're not following him on Twitter, I highly recommend you do. Stats of War, something like that on Twitter. He's fantastic, but you can check him out at cfbgraphs.com as well. But he has, with expected points added, Penn State's 36th in the nation. That's not too great. They're good on defense. They're on offense. They allow 19 points per game. They score 33, but that's a little bit inflated based off of what they've done this season against inferior opponents. I guess you could say the exact same for Ohio State, but they've just beaten up on those bad opponents so terribly that I kind of forget about it. Ohio State's first in the country in EPA. They have the best offense. They have the 12th best defense, folks. Ohio State means business. CJ Stroud leading them with Jackson Smith and Jigba. I mean, this is a potent offense that scores 50 points per game. Their defense allows just 15. And Ryan Day is 11-1 against the spread in weeks 5 through 9 in weeks 5 through 9 since he's been the coach of Ohio State. He knows when to turn it on. He knows when to not only win, but win big and cover the spreads. That's why Ohio State -14 is 100% the play tonight. It also goes that in the last 5 seasons, when you bet against home underdogs of 14.5 points or more, that has an offense that averages over 400 total yards, that's Penn State. Penn State averages 424 yards this game. They're 14.5 point underdogs, home underdogs. And when you do that, when you bet against a team in that scenario, you come out on top 41 times out of 51 over the last 5 seasons. A huge historical trend over the last 5 seasons that has an 80% hit rate. That's exactly where Penn State is in this one. I think Ohio State is going to tame down that Nittany Lions attack through the air. They're going to tame down that Nittany Lions attack on the ground. Nittany Lions average 179 rush yards per game, 5 yards per rush. I think Ohio State's defense is much better than Penn State. I think Penn State is a little bit hyper-inflated in terms of the rankings. They're nowhere near the 13th best team in the nation. So throw the rankings out the window. Ohio State, for all intents and purposes, is 35 teams better than Penn State. Ohio State just in a class of its own, coming off of an insane win. Hit the wrong button there. Coming off of an insane win last week over Iowa. They took down the Hawkeyes 54-10, and that's against an Iowa defense that is good, folks. Iowa's defense, one of the best in the country. And I know we crap on Iowa a lot because of their lackluster offense, their anemic offense, their incapable offense, but their defense is still one of the best in the nation, and Iowa was able to hang 54 on them. That was assisted by some short fields and things of that sort. But I mean, this is an Ohio State team that is very, very good. What a game inside the game that I want you all to focus in on. Ohio State, they average over 10 plus yards per completion. They absolutely tear teams up with CJ Stroud and that litany of fantastic wide receivers Ohio State has. Penn State, though, if they do one thing really well, they have a very, very solid pass defense. They're 12th in the nation in pass defense and in efficiency, and Ohio State's going to try and test that. So if Penn State can kind of slow that down, it might just leave them open to being gashed with the running. Ohio State averages over 200 yards rushing per game. So something to keep an eye on, a fun game inside the game. But all day, every day, go Ohio State, minus 14.5. That's one of the easiest bets that I think you can make of the weekend. Ohio State just a much better team. And you're fading the public, folks. It's always good to fade the public. Penn State getting over 53% of the public bets right now at plus 14.5. I don't know what they're seeing. Ohio State's going to cover this one with ease. Moving on from that game, we're going into Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is taking on Kansas State. Kansas State, a 1.5-point home favorite after opening as a 1-point home dog. If they were dogs in this would be the third straight week that Kansas State would be an underdog. However, after some money's come in, after the public's made their bets, Kansas State has gone to minus 1.5. It got as high as Kansas State minus 2, but now it's settled at about minus 1.5. Total is set at 56 points. And I don't think this game is going to be all that close, folks. I think Kansas State is the much better team. They're ranked 22nd in the nation. Oklahoma State's ranked 9th in the nation. So that might come as a surprise, saying that Kansas State is the much better team. But Kansas State was taking it to TCU last week. Got up, I believe, 28-10. Wheels kind of fell off. They had some trouble at quarterback, a couple injuries. Adrian Martinez went out. Will Howard went out, and they had, I believe, their third-string quarterback in for a little bit. Will Howard ended up coming back in, but playing through an injury there. Oklahoma State is 63rd. You heard me right. 63rd in EPA, 47th in offense, 85th in defense. A terrible defense. That is a bottom half defense that Oklahoma State is running out there every single Saturday. Kansas State, on the other hand, 34th in EPA, so they're much better in efficiency. They're 76th in offense, 16th in defense. I mean, I think that defense is going to shut down this Oklahoma State rushing attack and what Mike Gundy has going over there for the Cowboys. I don't know what our data is seeing. And I know I always get into trouble when I'm fading the data and I'm questioning the data. But just based off of all efficiency metrics, advanced analytics, everything like that, Kansas State is the better team. Kansas State at -1 is stealing money from a baby. Kansas State at home is going to run away with this game and win by 2 possessions. I don't know why our power line likes Oklahoma State -4. I don't know why our game simulator likes, especially estimate number 1, likes Oklahoma State to win by 7 and gives them a gold star best bet. I like estimate number 2 there, though. I like the Kansas State to win by 4. I think they'll win by more, though. I think Kansas State is a much, much, much better team. Chris Kleeman, the head coach of Kansas State, 10-2 against the spread after he fails to cover Kansas State's also 9-2 against the spread, 8-3 straight up at home against Oklahoma State since 1992. The only thing that is going in Oklahoma State's favor, Oklahoma State has been really, really solid on the road dating back to last season. They're 7-0 against the spread on the road dating back to last season. But I think that ends in this game. It will be interesting to see how things shake up. Adrian Martinez, we don't know his status for this game. The starting quarterback for the Wildcats may be out for this one. And that's kind of a big deal. But Will Howard stepped in, had over 225 yards passing, looked really solid as K-State got up big on TCU, and he was a big part of that. But I'm going to say this. I think Kansas State wins this game regardless of who starts, because I think this is going to fall on Kansas State's defense more. 16th in the nation in EPA on defense. They're going to shut down whatever Oklahoma State has going. And this offense, whether it's Adrian Martinez, whether it's Will Howard, I think will get theirs. This is a team that is pretty solid on the offensive side of the ball. Nothing to write home about. But whether it's Adrian Martinez or Will Howard, it doesn't really matter. Deuce Vaughn also on the injury report. He's probable to go, but that's worth noting as well. Wait until this game gets closer to kickoff. It kicks tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Central. I think I did that math right. But it's going to kick then, so maybe wait until like an hour or two before kick, and you get more clarity on Adrian Martinez. Because if Adrian Martinez isn't going, you might see Oklahoma State catapult to become the favorite again, and K-State maybe the dog. And in that case, go K-State money line. I'm going to say K-State -1, -1.5 is my best bet. But I also am going to wait until it gets closer to kickoff, so that if Adrian Martinez can't go and Oklahoma State all of a sudden becomes the favorite, I'm cashing in Kansas State money line and plus money. And if Adrian Martinez is decided to go, I think that's what this line is baked into right now at -1. I think that's assuming Adrian Martinez will go for the Wildcats. And if that's the case and it's confirmed, I don't think there'll be much change. So give me Kansas State to win this one, I think by a little bit, by a few possessions. But at -1, -1.5, that's my best bet for today. And last, but certainly not least, folks, one of the best games of the day. Tennessee is hosting Kentucky. Tennessee, number 3 in the nation. What an amazing story for the Volunteers, as I'm about to sneeze. Woo! Tennessee is one of the best stories in college football. They're way ahead of schedule. Josh Heupel came in. It was going to be a couple-year rebuild. What Jeremy Pruitt did to that program with McDonald's cash bags and everything left that program in ruins. His program has not been what it once was with the Peyton Mannings in the early 2000s. But Josh Heupel's come in, and he's accelerated this rebuild. Hendon Hooker is playing at a Heisman level. Jalen Wyatt is just an absolute stud. Jalen Hyatt is amazing at wide receiver, and him and Hendon Hooker have an amazing connection. Number 19, Kentucky, is a 12-point road dog against the Tennessee Volunteers. My blinders are on 100% with this Tennessee team, folks. I'm all in on the Volunteers. I think they're making it to the college football playoff. I think they're beating Georgia here in a few weeks. I think they're going to destroy Kentucky in this one. Tennessee is one of the best offenses in the country. Tennessee is 5th in the nation in EPA, 6th best offense, 25th best defense. Kentucky, on the other hand, is 35th overall in expected points added with a bad offense, 70th best offense in the nation, 20th, though, defense. So they're able to be a good defense, but we saw what Tennessee was able to do against Alabama, who has one of the better defenses in the nation. So I think Tennessee is going to run all over and run past whatever they need to do. They're going to do that all over Kentucky, this Kentucky defense. And Kentucky is a really one-dimensional football team, right? Kentucky throws the ball well with Will Levis. Even though he puts mayo in his coffee, they struggle to run the ball. They're 104th in the nation in rush efficiency. So when you're a one-dimensional team, Tennessee's defense might not be one to write home about. But if you all of a sudden become one-dimensional and you're allowing them to pull some guys out of the box and you're playing 5-6 guys in the secondary, it's going to be a long day for that Kentucky passing attack, just because this rush offense is so inefficient for the Wildcats. Worth noting, Mark Stoops, 17-5 against the spread in road games after a home win. Kentucky is coming off of an upset home win against Mississippi State, so that's big for Mark Stoops and Kentucky, especially because that saved them from a 3-game slide. They won their first 5 games of the season, first 4 games of the season, lost 2 in a row, and then bounced back last week with a win at home against Mississippi State as a 3.5-point home dog. But Tennessee overall 6-1 against the spread this season. They've covered their last 3. They're 3-1 against the spread as double-digit favorites. And like I said, Hendon Hooker is playing at elite Heisman level. Jalen Hyatt is playing at one of the best wide receiver levels in the nation. There's just not much this Kentucky team is going to be able to do to slow down this Tennessee attack. I mean, Tennessee is averaging 50 points per game. Kentucky averages just 26. And if we're talking based straight up on averages, I mean, Tennessee is going to run away with this one with their plus 27-point differential. Kentucky just a plus 10-point differential. And not only that, if you look here, our power line likes this at Tennessee minus 13. That's right around where you're getting the value. Value at minus 12, minus 13, pretty much the same. It might even go up to minus 13 before kickoff. Both estimates like Tennessee to win. One of them likes them to cover. The other one likes them not to cover. But I think they cover. And I might be, and look, 80% of the public is on Kentucky. There's no way Kentucky has the horsepower, the firepower, whatever power you need to do this, to keep this game close. Tennessee is a much better football team. Tennessee's a legit candidate to win, to get into the college football as the SEC representative. And guys, look at what they're wearing. I mean, come on. When you're wearing all black like this in Neyland Stadium, that place is going to be electric. One of the best home field advantages, even when Tennessee is losing. Give me the Volunteers all day, every day, mainly because of this jersey that they're going to be rocking on Saturday. That's going to be I'm so excited for this day of college football. It's going to be an awesome day. So thank you so much for tuning in to DRF Daily. Real quick before we get up on out of here, our best bets recap, as always. ECU +3 at BYU tonight. I love what Mike Houston and Holton Ahlers are doing over there with the Pirates. Ohio State minus 14.5 at Penn State. Look, it's not under the lights. Nittany Lions home crowd is fantastic. Happy Valley is great. But I think if this was under the lights, I might think twice. It's not. It's a noon kickoff. Big noon kickoff, folks. Give me Ohio State minus 14.5. All day, every day. Ohio State's one of the best teams, if not the best teams in the country, and they're going to run all over Penn State. Much like Tennessee minus 12 against Kentucky. Kentucky's a solid team. Tennessee is much better. I think that spread's too low. I think Tennessee is going to run all over Kentucky as well and destroy them and win by 3+ scores. And Kansas State minus 1.5 against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State isn't that great of a team. Oklahoma State in the 60s when it comes to expected points added and efficiency metric. K-State 34th. K-State much better when it comes to efficiency than Oklahoma State. Give me the Wildcats at minus 1.5 to take down the Cowboys, and I'm feeling great about that one. So thank you so much for tuning in to DRF Daily, DRF Sportsbook's betting live stream, coming at you every day that there is football on. We'll try to get a Saturday edition up for you guys tomorrow. If not, we broke down 3 ranked matchups today. It's going to be a great day of college football. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at DRF Sportsbook for all the exclusive betting angles and insights that you need to make your weekend profitable. You'll have a wonderful Friday.